I'm going to talk about AI persuasion risks. AI is already very persuasive, and it increasingly shapes the information that we counter and the decisions that we make. So, how is that going to play out? Ideally, we would hope that AI persuasion will inherently favor the truth, because after all, tautologically, there's better arguments for the truth. Unfortunately, our findings here suggest that that doesn't happen automatically. But we also find that interventions are possible. So in some sense, the future of the information ecosystem is in our hands. So what did we do here? We asked people to share a conspiracy that they're uncertain about, and then we randomly had AI either try to persuade them to believe the conspiracy or to not believe it. So bunking or debunking. And then we heavily debriefed the people that AI tried to persuade to believe the conspiracy. And what we found with a jailbroken GPT-4o model was that it was roughly equally effective at persuading people to believe the conspiracy as persuading them to not believe it, and significantly effective in both cases. When we investigated a bit further, we also found that actually jailbreaking wasn't necessary. So the second plot here shows that out of the box GPT-4o without jailbreaking, just asking it to persuade on these conspiracies, was similarly effective to the jailbreak-tuned GPT-4o. So we don't have safeguards for conspiracy persuasion on this model. Where do we have safeguards for persuasion? It turns out for some models, essentially nowhere. We tested Gemini 3 Pro on extreme persuasion topics like radicalization, like the ISIS prompt that you see here, child sexual abuse, and other crimes. And we found that it would comply without jailbreaking with requests for persuasion on these topics. So if AI is persuasive, similarly persuasive in essentially any direction, and it will persuade happily on anything, what can we do? Well, it's actually quite possible in production models to cut the persuasion compliance on extreme topics to near zero. So what you see in the figure here is that Gemini 3 Pro, like I touched on before, complies on these extreme topics around 90% of the time. But GPT 5.1 and Opus 4.5 are near zero compliance. And it was later than this figure, but we also tested Grok 4, likewise near zero, and Gemini 3.1 Pro, also near zero. So it really comes down to how we design, train, and test the models. Another thing we found is that we can also just tell models not to lie. So what we did here was we took the same prompt that we had used in the previous experiments, but added that the model should use true arguments to do the persuasion. And we found that that cut the conspiracy persuasion in both compliance and persuasive efficacy, while leaving the anti-conspiracy persuasion roughly unchanged. So that's not to say that this would be a magic bullet that would solve all our problems. Certainly, it could probably be jailbroken. We haven't tested side effects on the utility, etc. But what it does illustrate is that there's tractable interventions that could really break this negative symmetry here. So in the big picture, AI could really be a transformatively positive force epistemically. It could help us find reliable information, learn, solve other risks. But it could also be an extremely negative one, manipulating people at scale, in the most extreme cases, perhaps even manipulating human overseers' decisions and leading to loss of control. So how we design the AI will really decide the future of the epistemic ecosystem. Thank you.